Good afternoon and welcome to my channel. This is Beth, and I said I would come back and do another Carolina parakeet in a looser form, and that's what I'm going to do. I had a little practice session last night, so let's hope this goes well. Let's see, I've got to choose a good brush here, and this time I think I'm going to go with a number 4 Aqua Elite Princeton brush. This bird, depends on how big the bird is, it depends on how big the strokes you're going to make. I'm making fewer strokes in that I am not going to be doing, like feather by feather sort of bird. But let's see if we can get some nice light green. I'm going to start with that. And He's got some nice light green on his belly. These birds do. This Carolina parakeet. I did it yesterday. I did a very detailed bird in this same sketchbook. This sketchbook is a Strathmore watercolor sketchbook. I really like those. They're very nice. Good watercolor paper. Although I'll tell you this: don't use masking fluid with it. Yeah, because it just doesn't do well. All right, now for the wing, I'm going to go ahead and start with this lighter green. You can see I'm just really kind of just filling it in here, leaving a little white space between the chest and the wing. And I'm going to let that dry maybe a minute here. Just let it dry for a sec. We're going to do some yellow on his neck as it comes up the back here. Let that blend just a little. You can see it comes right up to his little beak. Up to his little beak. I think these were pretty big birds. I say little, like this was a small bird. It was not a small bird. They were pretty large parakeets. So yeah, anyway, there we go. And then it turns to kind of an orange color, and we're going to try to get the orange color here as best we can. And pull that up around the head. I'll let that fade into the yellow a little bit. Like so. This should not take long, honestly, because we're not trying to get too detailed a picture. Let me grab some Alizarin Crimson. And the thing I'm going to do with this Alizarin Crimson can be a little purpley. You can see there, a little bit purpley. So I'm going to mix it in with that orange and get more of a fire engine red. And come, especially around the eye, right up next to the beak. Yeah, there we go. Well, that looks pretty good. I hope it doesn't fade off too much. I don't want it to get down there in the yellow too much. Yeah, that's a problem I've always had, is just water control. How do you know? I guess you just get a feel for it, right? I mean, how much water you have on your brush or don't have on your brush, how thick the paint's going to be. You just have to get a feel for it, and I am still working on it. Okay. Now I am going to let that dry around his face a little bit, because the next color I want to do is the beak, and the beak is this kind of putty color right there. It can be a very light gray with a little bit of brown in it, or I've got this kind of putty color right here, this buff, I guess you'd call it, but I'm not going to use that just yet. I'm going to take some sap green, which is a fairly bright green. Touch that. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm going to pull it down this way. See, not too much detail there. And then we're going to pull it down into the tail. And I think the tail actually has parts of it that are really a different kind of green, kind of a blue-green almost. So there is my, you know, most of the color filled in already. I told you this would not take long. And then I'm going to take some Payne's Gray for his little feet. Again, I think I've got too much water on my brush. So dab it on your towel and make sure you don't have too much water. The thicker the paint, if you don't want it to run, the thicker the paint, the better. At least that's the conclusion I've drawn. Or really, the less water in the paint, the better. I don't guess it's about thick paint, it's about watery paint. Okay, that's the little hind foot in there. Okay, so that foot didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about that right now. Let's see here. Okay, I don't think that will run at this point. I don't think it's going to mix in, so I'm going to take a fairly thick, can you see how thick that is? Buff. I don't know, can you? Yeah, there you go. Fairly thick buff, and paint the beak in. The top of the beak. That little curvy beak. And then the bottom part. You can kind of see that pencil mark. I wish that wasn't there, but oh well, I didn't erase it. All right, now as for the limb that he's sitting on, I mean, that can be any color. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to figure that out, but that can be a brownish gray, which I think I'm going to mix up right here and just kind of bring it down. I don't want to emphasize the branch. That's not what we're doing. All right, all the way down in here. What a cute bird. I understand they were just absolutely raucous, these things. That they could be heard like 2 miles away. They were famous for eating farmers' crops. Farmers hated them. And probably did not mind them being killed for hats. I can't help it. I just still wish that we had them around. I think that they would be amazing to see outside your window, you know? Maybe, maybe they were so noisy that they were just a nuisance. I don't know. All right, so for my, for that much of it, it is done except for now the eye. And what I'm going to do for the eye is, let's see, I'm going to take, yeah, I was checking to see how dry it is. Take a little bit of this Payne's Gray, and I want to very, very carefully paint the eye in. We're going to fill it in all except for a little highlight right there. Look at that. Paint a little shadow under his feet. And come back under here. Now I'm not gonna do away with the white space, but I am gonna put a little shadow. Look, it's bleeding in. That's all right. It kind of looks cool. Put a little shadow under his wing, and maybe down his tail a little bit. Woo! What do you think? I don't know, that might be, I see I'm a little bit afraid to do that. I don't have a pen. But when it dries, I'll probably come back and put a little differentiation between the top of the beak and the bottom, and maybe just a little tiny bit of detail around the eye. But that's my Carolina parakeet done loose. Yeah, and if you do want to do more with the branch and, you know, put leaves in and all that kind of good stuff, you certainly can. If you want to put some little splatters around him, some directional splatters maybe. How about some green? You know, you can do that too. Oh, I didn't want to come off. Here we go. There he is. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I mean, that was the that's the loose one. Of course, I had the one yesterday that I did that was more detailed, and in some ways I like the loose one better. But yeah, there's my more detailed fellow right there, and this is the loose one. So if you want to paint along, please do, and I hope you'll give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.